Hi and welcome to this 8th tutorial on CSS and HTML. Now today we're going to try to make a basic model similar to this one here. So we want to have a header, a top menu, side menu, a content, and a footer. We're all going to do this while trying to have a nice formatted layout. So for once we're going to have a nice template we're going to be able to work with. As you notice here in my template, everything is centered in the page. So I'm going to need a wrapper which I'm going to be able to center everything in the page. So to start with, I'm going to take off what we had so far HTML wise, and I'm going to copy what I had in the lesson. So I'm going to take here my first template, just going to put the proper spacing. So here you go. So I start here, I have my wrap. It's going to be holding everything. Now inside this I have my header, my top menu, my content, my side menu, and my footer. So if you notice, it's exactly as I said. We have a big wrapper. In our wrapper we have different boxes. Now let's save. I'm just going to take off all the CSS we had so far. So if I refresh, that's what we have so far. And if you notice in my header, I've also placed an image here, which is our smiley face. Okay. Now let's go for the fun part. We're going to do CSS. Now to start with, what I said in the lesson is I'm going to be using the star selector. Now the star selector is going to enable us to say to all the elements in our page to have those properties. Now I'm putting a margin and padding at 0. The reason is different browsers like Firefox, Google Chrome, and Internet Explorer have different default value. So by doing so, all my elements have a padding and a margin of 0. See, I just refreshed, everything glued itself to the side. Now next step, I'm going to put a background color for my body. So here we go. So I select the body, which means everything in the body element will have this background color. See, if I refresh, I now have a light gray. Now I want my wrapper here, and this is where the trick is. See, I've called it wrap. It's a class. I'm gonna put that. So I want my wrap element to have a fixed width of 900 pixels. I want it to have a white background color. There we go, and the trick here is I'm going to tell the browser to say, give me no margin, but I want them to be set automatically. So therefore it's going to put 0, but it's going to try to adjust automatically each side. Now if I refresh, it's not going to work right now. See, I'm always going to have it on left because we need to add something to our HTML. So for everything we've done, we just started with the HTML tag. Now, what is important when we're doing margin or some special tag, we need to specify what type of HTML it is. I'm going to add this here. This is to tell we're doing HTML5. See, and from the moment I say we're doing HTML5, it's going to recognize the auto tag. So see, now my page is 900 pixel large and always going to be centered in my screen, no matter how wide I'm going to pull the screen out. So that's all for wrapper. Now let's start for the next part. We have our header. So our header, to start with, I'm going to put a basic background color. I'm going to give it a fixed height of 43 pixels. And see, this is my foreground background color. I just use a website called Color Scheme to get all my different colors, because as a programmer I'm not a really good artist, so I'm usually not the one selecting the colors. And we're going to align all the text on our right side here. So I put the text alignment to the right. See, now everything is aligned to the right, but my pictures, I would want it to be to the left side. So I'm going to say, take my picture and align my picture, float my picture to the left with a padding of 5 pixels. So leave a 5 pixel around. As you see now, it's glued to the top. If I put a padding, it's going to leave a spacing of 5 pixels everywhere around it. So if I refresh, here we go, I have my title to the right, my pictures to the left, and see it's no longer glued on top. Now my title is glued on the side. So what I can do, I can say, change my H1, which is my header. If we look here, I have one image and one header in the ID header. So I say in the ID header, change the header, and I'm going to put a margin of 30 pixels. Now there's 4 digits. What you have to know here, we're going to see it more in the next lesson on margin and pattern, but when you have 4 digits, it's always top, right, bottom, and left. So we're turning in the circle like clockwise. So if I refresh again, see, I just added 30 pixels here to the right, which is giving me more space here for my title. Okay, so next step, we're going to be looking at our top menu. So I'm going to be giving our top menu a height of 20 pixels here with a basic color. So here we go. See, my top menu is now 20 pixels, but my text, I just had a list here. And my list is showing up on vertically, but I would need it to show up horizontally. So I'm going to add a more tricks here. Here we go. Oops. I first said to all my unordered lists, I don't want no margin. Then to all my list item in my list, I don't want any list tab. Therefore, take off the bullet you have in front. I want all my element to be floating to the left, so they're going to be starting on this side of the screen. I want them to display on a fixed block, so they're all going to be squared. So now I'm going to have squares that are going to be floating here, so one beside each other until the end, reach the end of the line. I each want them to be 150 pixel wide, and this is just foreground and color. So if we do quick math, quick math, I took a width of 900 pixel. So if I have 6 elements of 150, that should be taking my entire line, and that's exactly what we have here, 6 elements in our list. So if I save and refresh, see, my list is all now on top of my page. And they're floating, they're each 150 pixel wide. This looks good. Let's make it a little bit more menu-like. We're going to be looking at a hover. It's an action selector. So you see, if I say, in my top menu, all my list item inside my unordered list. And here I added 2-dot hover. When the mouse is going to be hovering on top of it, change the background and the foreground color. So if I say, see, every time my mouse goes on top of it, we have a selecting a menu effect. Okay, so now we're going to be looking at things we already saw for our content and side menu, which is in the previous lesson, it's how to have a 2-column screen. So see, I'm going to say float my side menu to the left and float my content to the right. Now if I save, see, my side menu is now to the right, my content is to the left, and I just noticed that I did not close some tags here, as I see it here. Here we go. That's a little bit better. Okay, so now we need to clear our footer and to put our footer at the bottom, since this here should not be shown here, it should be at the bottom here. So if I just take my footer, I'm going to add my footer here on the bottom. So I'm going to say to my footer, clear both, as we saw in the past, to clear both side element, and I'm going to put a foreground and a background color to my footer. So here we go. Now I have a footer here in the middle, and I could also align everything in the center for my footer. Here we go. So that's it. Now we just created, oh, and I see that I'm missing background color for my footer. Let's see, I want to take the same color as my header, which is this one here. Here we go. Oops, that's not the same. Just gonna copy and paste here. Here we go. Now I have the same color as my, that should be the color. I just want to take the same style as my footer, as my header here. See, and see, this should be my top menu. So I should take the background of my top menu, which is all here in my list. Here we go. So I'm going to be using the same background color here of my list. If I refresh, and here we go. Now we have the basic header. We have our menu with the hover action. We have a site, content, and our footer. So in the next lesson, as I mentioned, we're going to be taking more of a look on the margin padding, and I'm going to try to include an absolute positioning object.